Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's the start of a brand new segment here on the Miracle WM Devlog show. I'm getting started this week with fixing a bunch of bugs, and we will see how long that takes me throughout the next 2 weeks. There's a couple things that I've been ignoring for quite a while now. The first of those is segmentation faults in the animation system. This was introduced lately, and I just need to fix that. I believe it's because we're modifying the window at the same time from 2 threads. So I'm going to fix that now. The next, as I mentioned last time, are the errors with outputs being unplugged and replugged and all the outputs going down and an output coming back up. Right now there's a lot of bugs with windows disappearing after that, so I'm going to fix that. And if we have all the time in the world, I'm going to get into the performance of these things. We are abusing the shared pointer terribly everywhere in Miracle, and I have to stop doing that. We're definitely taking some performance costs because of that. We're doing a lot of disparate heap allocations when we shouldn't have to be doing that, and I want to fix that up. I think it's making the entire thing go a little bit slower than it should be and leading to a lot of lifetime bugs that I don't want to see. So we're going to fix that over the next 2 weeks, and if all that goes quickly, we have plenty more features to get to afterwards. Another thing I should point out. Oh, can't really. Anyway, I got a Blue Yeti microphone because my girlfriend loves me. So shout out to my girlfriend. I should sound a lot better in the devlogs going forward. So let me know if you get that impression too. And I'll probably tweak it over the next 2 weeks as I'm recording. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. Hey everybody. It's coming on 8 o'clock right now, so I'm going to be stopping in a second, but I just wanted to show you a typical problem that I'm running into here. So I have things not modifying the window at the same time, but I introduced a new problem where we are in a deadlock. So the problem is the animation system first takes the lock of the animation system and then tries to take the lock of the policy. And on the Wayland thread, we have the policy taking the lock, obviously, of the policy, and then subsequently trying to take the lock of the animation system, and now they're both waiting on each other and stuck forever. This is better than not crashing, but it's not good. So we're gonna have to fix this tomorrow. What's going on, everybody? I'm back tomorrow, and I think I've solved most of the bugs, although I'm finding more bugs with the IPC stuff, so I'll have to fix that later. But it's going pretty well. I wrote this quick script that opens 100 terminals across 10 workspaces and checks that they're animating well. So if I run that, it's called stress.py. It may or may not fail. We will see, but if it fails, it's failing for a different reason now. But you can see we're opening 10 terminals and then switching to the next workspace using the IPC mechanism. So this is all going really well. I don't think the animation system has any more bugs, but the IPC certainly does. So we'll have to fix that soon, but I'll just make a bug for that. And that's all for right now. I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. It's currently Thursday, January 23rd, and I am just getting started. Last night I had some time and I fixed some bugs with how the intersection and drag and drop were functioning. There's a lot of errors there, but I fixed it and it's working well right now. And now I'm just about to head into fixing the output unplugging bug. So I will see you all when I've made progress on that. I'm currently SSH'd into my desktop from my laptop, so I'll be able to unplug and replug as much as I can, and let's fix those bugs. What's going on, everybody? I didn't make much progress yesterday on the output bugs, the output deletion bugs where windows were dying. But I think I've come to a good solution today. So what I'm going to do is when the final output goes offline, or even when we just start up the program in general, there's going to be an output that starts in the defunct state. So this means it's not a real output, but that means we don't have to have this idea of windows that aren't associated with outputs anymore. There'll always be some output that they can go to. In this way, when you unplug and replug, all the workspaces that you had previously will be maintained and everything. So that should solve a lot of issues there. And it should also solve this weird loop I get where I sudo remove windows and then try to re-add them to a new output. So I'm going to do that right now, and I think this is the way forward, and it should be pretty easy to implement now that I've refactored the output class a lot. So we'll see how that goes. Hello everybody, it's currently January 25th and I got this working yesterday, so I'm going to show you what I did. Right now I'm running Miracle with 3 terminals on my desktop. If I go ahead and unplug the HDMI and I plug it back in, you will see that all the surfaces come back online as you would expect, and all the workspaces and everything are preserved. There is still a bug lingering where we allow you to do certain actions that you shouldn't be able to do while the output is offline. And I'm going to go right ahead and fix that now. What's going on, everybody? It's currently January 27th on Monday. I'm just wrapping up the output unplugging PR right now. Obviously, it got a little bigger because I needed to isolate all the output code. It was tangled up with everything else, so I shoved it in this output manager, wrote tests for the output manager, and then anything that wanted to use the output, I had to plumb that output manager all the way through, and that took a lot of time and just a lot of code to get through. But that's all working now. I even have tests for it, so that should be better. In the process, it did break the drag and drop test, so I will fix those later. It's broken for an unknown reason, so I just don't want to pigeonhole on it and spend a bunch of time right now. So I'm going to merge that in a moment here, and then I'm going to get started on the next task. In the process of implementing this output manager, I actually broke the functionality that removes outputs regularly. So if you have 2 screens and you unplug a screen, that is now broken, and those windows that were on the second screen will just disappear. What I'm going to implement, which should be easy, we're going to see how this goes, because I should have code to do it already. I should move those workspaces to the new output. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it's easy, fingers crossed, and I'll catch back with you guys when that's finished. What's going on, everybody? It's coming on 8 o'clock now, and I think I have everything figured out. I just need to go test it on my laptop. So now, when we remove an output, we find all the workspaces associated with that output, try to find the next output in the list if there is any, and then we move that workspace to the output and erase the output. So if I hop into this code, all it's really doing is calling advise workspace deleted on the old output, and then advise new workspace on the output that we want to move this to. This should work. I'm going to go test it out on my laptop right now, and if that's all good, I'll probably write a test for it and open a pull request. Good morning, everybody. It's currently Tuesday, January 28th. And I'm about to take a little break from doing output deletion bugs this morning. It's pretty much all the way there, but I have some minor edge cases and improvements that I want to fix, and I will get back to that later this week. In the meantime, I'm going to get started on combining the leaf container with the floating window container. If I hop over to the code over here, I have these 2 containers. This one represents a window in a tiling grid, and this one represents a window that is just floating around on your desktop outside of the tiling grid. Now, the tricky part is that I often these are pretty much the same object, and I want them to be able to fluidly change between each other without doing a dynamic allocation, which has been pretty bad for performance, especially when you're spamming, spamming the creation of a floating window back and forth between tiling and floating. So today I really want to combine them. It makes sense to combine them, and it shouldn't be too bad to do so. So I will catch up with you when that is on its way. What's going on, everybody? We're back at 7:15 p.m. now, and I started mapping out what it would take to accomplish combining the leaf container with the floating window container. And it turns out the first thing I needed to do was decouple the leaf container from the tiling window tree. And in fact, my plan here is to remove, if I bring that up, remove this tiling window tree altogether. After auditing the code, it really doesn't do anything that substantial, and most of the functionality can be done in the containers. So I plan to do that. I have half of it done already, and I have some tests written for the leaf container, but I have to do another part tomorrow where I actually move all of this functionality up into the workspace and just operate on the containers rather than the tree. So I'm going to do that tomorrow, and that should begin to unlock the combination of a leaf container with the floating window container. We're definitely getting closer there. And once I get rid of this tiling window tree, I think they'll be ready to be merged. So this is what I'm going to work on tomorrow. And hopefully by the end of the week, we'll have these containers merged. Good morning, everybody. It's January 29th, and I'm just about finished transferring everything from the tiling window tree to the workspace. There's a few more lingering things left in here, but it's only about 100 lines of code, so it should be pretty easy to transfer after work today. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, just because we actually didn't need this object at all. So this object was pretty much just a middleman for everything else, just some middle management object. So moving it all up into the workspace was really easy. And now I just have to plumb that through the whole system, right? So anywhere that was referencing this tiling window tree should now reference the workspace, and that'll make it so that the leaf container can really merge with the floating window container. So that'll come up next, and it should be pretty easy to accomplish, and I'll have a pull request that merges these two together by the end of the day. Good morning, everybody. It's currently a little after 7 a.m. here, January 30th, and I just want to show you what I did yesterday. So I was able to remove the tiling window tree in its entirety. So this means now it should be easier to combine the two containers. This wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, and it just basically involved, destroying a lot of the test code and moving around a lot of the test code to take the workspace instead. So I did that, and it's time to hop into the next task here, which is actually executing on the combination of those two containers. So I'll see you when that's done. What's going on, everybody? It's 7:30 now, and I just wanted to show off one test that I need to do before I get to remove this floating window container. So, and also I'll go into greater detail about the architecture I'm going for. So all floating windows now are going to live in their own subtree that floats around above the regular tiling grid. Now, this causes us to introduce a new field to the parent container, which, a parent container without a root is essentially a tiling grid now, and that's the isAnchored container. So when we're not anchored, you can freely move that tiling grid defined by this parent around anywhere you want with the pointer, and it's not stuck to 0, 0 or whatever it is on the screen. One of the interesting effects that's going to happen, though, when we do that is that the floating window container, or what used to be the floating window container, will now be the only child of this parent container. But you can imagine that in the future, this parent container, even though it's just a floating window, can have as many children as possible. So that's what I'm setting up for right now, so that you can have little mini grids scattered throughout the window or whatever, throughout the workspace. So that's what I just got set up right now. You can now specify this isAnchored flag, and when that's specified, you could freely move this thing. So now I'm going to get on to the next task, which is removing this. I think we are ready to remove it, and let's see how it goes. Good morning, everybody. It's January 31st at 7 a.m. here, and I wanted to show you the progress I made with combining the floating window container into the leaf container. So now, when you float this container, if I do that, you'll see that it behaves just as before. The window is brought above the tiling grid, and you could interact with it here. But by combining the floating container to the leaf container, we actually unlock a whole new realm of possibilities, because this floating container right here is actually a true tiling grid. So if I have this selected and I open up another terminal, you'll see that it starts its own mini tiling window tree over here that is independent of the other tree, right? I can open up other things, I could go like that and move it all around. And that's very cool. And this unlocks a whole realm of possibilities with interacting with your desktop. So for example, you could have a bunch of mini tiling grids throughout the whole workspace. You could have one up here, and you could interact with them individually. You could drag windows between them, resize them, move them around as a group and stuff like that. So that was it was hard to describe earlier, but that was my kind of end game the whole time with combining these two things, was making it so that you could have this really neat functionality and extend the metaphor of the tiling grid that's on your, the main part of your desktop to individual floating groups. So that's all working, except there's a few more things I need to do in this realm. One of which is allow you to drag this around and then integrate it with all the other features that I took it out of. So I'm going to do that this morning, and then I'm going to hopefully, maybe by tomorrow or the next day, open a pull request for this. But that'll probably be after this devlog is done. So I will show all the other features that come along with it at the beginning of the next devlog. So that should just about do it for this week. I'm currently drinking some coffee, editing the video. It's Saturday morning here, February 1st. I'm gonna get the combination of the floating window container with the leaf container finished this weekend, and I'll show you the result on Monday. It shouldn't be too much more to go there. And then next week, I want to get supported on command criteria for i3 commands. So that is being able to specify which window you want your command to act upon. Right now, it always does the selected window, so we're going to support the command criteria there. And the next thing is being able to resize containers with the pointer. I want to get that done next, just in the vein of doing pointer drag and drop things. And then hopefully we'll stabilize at the end of next week, and we will be able to do a release for release 0.5.0. So that's all I got for this little segment, and I'll see you all on Monday.